Hello everyone, welcome back to the radio shop. On the bench today we have another Realistic model HTX-100. Now if you emailed me about this radio and told me what was going on with it and wanted to send it in, so I told him to go ahead. A lot of times I guess I'm not working on that many of these radios due to the display issue, but he said he thinks the display is fine in this one, and it has another problem that when he turns it on, the display flashes and no functions work. So let's just go ahead and verify what he's saying and see if we can reproduce the fault. And sure enough, as you see, the display is flashing. And it's showing channel 1 single sideband and the span button over to the far right. Hitting the span button. Or any button does not make a difference at all. So what could be causing this interesting issue? Well, we could have a faulty CPU, which I'm going to leave that as the last result, due to we are showing some information on the screen. I've seen sometimes when the CPU fails, there's nothing on the screen. At least this one is trying to show something. So it could be that some other mode is engaged at turn on and it is causing a fault in the CPU. Another thing could be bad components like capacitors, or that old brown glue Sony bond that they used in them could be becoming conductive. Or it could have been a modification gone bad. Yes, we do see that from time to time. These modifications, people try to do modifications and ends up with a failed radio. So yeah, a lot of things could be causing this issue. So I guess the best thing to do is crack the radio open and see exactly what is going on. If there's something visible to start with before we even start grabbing schematics or test equipment. I'm pretty sure the 5-volt line is running because we do have some display. So a 5-volt should be fine. So let's go ahead and get it cracked open and see what we find. Okay, I got the case off, and you know, the first thing you want to do on the radio is having a issue like this is just go ahead and do a visual inspection and see if there's anything that's burned or broke or blowed or, you know, out of place, or any modifications that you see. And I'm looking here at the PLL board, and you know, just looking at it, everything looks okay. We can see right here under this transistor they do have that old brown Sony bond, and you'll see that all over the inside of the main circuit board and on the other side. But one of the first things that do catch my eye when I'm looking at this radio, there's a little tiny blue wire here that's popping up in my face. You can see it right here, and that tells me that somebody's run a wire, probably a modification, or they found another problem, they jumped something out. So we'll need to take a look at that. So what I'm going to do is remove the PLL board so we can get down in there and see just what's going on to the I mean, you know, my guess seeing this here, that something's been jumped on the microprocessor. So I have the PLL unit out and have the radio turned around with the back facing me so we can see more of what's going on in here. And there's the blue wire I was talking about. and we can see it's going down to a pin that's been lifted on the microprocessor. Now, is this causing a problem? I do not know. You know, it's hard to say at this time, but I think the best thing to do is just go ahead and put this back stock. This wire comes up here, goes around to the other side, goes underneath this voltage regulator and to the board. At the moment, my suspicion is going to be either faulty capacitors or fried CPU. I mean, that's pretty much a estimate, you know, a good estimate of what's going on here. Looking at it, you know, I see these wires here has been burnt by a soldering iron. Case right here was burnt. Someone lifted this up and soldered the wire to it and just, you know, burnt the case. Now, you know, Uniden made the PLL modular so it's easy to remove and get out. Now, we can go ahead and rule out PLL issue quickly, and by doing that, I'll turn the radio back around. You can see here's the original PLL, and here's a spare PLL that I have. So what we're going to do is just plug this right in, just for a quick troubleshooting session here. Sometimes it's always good to have spare parts around to check out what's going on. So we'll power the rig back up. Come over here and turn it on, and as you can see, the display is still flashing. So we now know that it's not a PLL issue, that we have a problem somewhere else. So we can rule out having to diagnose the PLL unit. Again, it's always good to have some spare parts. And just checking the cable here to make sure that the signal is able to pass through it. Something wrong. Now, you know, like again I said, it's nice that Uniden built this to be modular. Now, if they would have done the front panel and the LCD board and CPU board the same way, would have been nice. Then we could just pull this out, plug another one in, and see, you know, make sure the problem is gone away. But unfortunately, you know, everything here is soldered in. You got these two flat flex cables here that are soldered in. All these connectors are soldered in. So everything is permanent. So what we're going to have to do is go ahead and remove this board, remove the front panel, remove the board out, and get a better look at what's going on with it. So okay, before we go any further, one thing I'm going to do is do a reset on this unit. And the way you reset it is remove the power from the rig. And you can do this with the radio put together. You just have to remove the tuning knob. And there's a hole right here, and down on the circuit board is a bare wire that runs vertically in the radio. And all you do is just go in with something metal, again with no power, and short that wire to ground, right to the chassis ground, and just hold it there for a minute or two, and that resets the CPU. Very easy to do. Nothing hard at all. We'll go ahead and repower the radio and see if that made any difference whatsoever. and as you can see, it's still flashing 2800. So we have a serious fault. Now we got to get in and start doing some troubleshooting. So I think y'all remember our other HTX-100 that we used as a donor to fix another customer's radio. This is the one that has the bad display that we're still trying to work through and figure out what to do with. Well, I decided I wanted to do a test. What can cause the display to flash when it's turned on. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take one of the buttons, hold it in and turn the radio on. And that just causes it to automatically go up in frequency or down in frequency. Just hold the store button, turn it on, nothing. We'll hold the step button in, turn it on, and just normal. We'll hold the memory button, same thing, 500K button. That just changes frequency, and mode button. Radio don't want to sit still. And as you see, the only thing that done was changed it to CW. So nothing there made a difference in the way the radio performed as far as the display flashing. So another test we're going to do is take the microphone and we're going to hold the PTT in. And I've got the PTT held in, and I'm going to turn the radio on and check that out. As you can see, we are flashing. It's not exactly the same frequency as 28,194.7. The other radio flashes 2800 even, which we don't know what frequency it was on. But we can see our single sideband indicator is flashing also, along with the memory channel number. And when I release it, it goes back to normal. I'm sorry about that display. It's very hard to read, but you get the idea. So that's telling me a little more about what may be going on with the other radio. Excuse me. So I think we need to concentrate on the TX switching and see if we find a problem there. Well, since I have this assumption that it could possibly be in the transmit mode, I decided we could go ahead and look at the schematic right quick. And you can see here from our microphone, pin 2 is our transmit line. Let me move the schematic over just a little bit, and we'll follow pin 2 right on around, and it comes right over here to where it says PTT. You see our PTT line right here on the schematic. So this goes right on over and around, and it comes to here. I got so many tools on the bench right this minute. Okay, it comes to right here, and you can see it comes up, and it is tied to a resistor network here, and this is the only other component that I can see that's actually attached to the PTT line. There is a switch connect up earlier here in the circuit, but anyway, from the PTT line, it comes right on up and goes into pin 41 of the CPU. And let's get a good look at that CPU. So here's a look at the CPU, the layout of it, and we'll start pin 1 around here, and we'll go all the way around. It starts back at pin 33, and we'll come up here to pin 41, which is PTT. When we look over at the chart, And let's look up on pin 41. We can see that PTT input on should be low voltage, off should be a high voltage. So it's going to vary somewhere between 0 to 5 volts depending on if the PTT is pressed or not. Okay, so now that we know what should be going on, the radio should be, when you turn it on, pin 41 should be high. And it's probably going to be around 4 to 5 volts. And when you key the microphone, it should drop low. So let's go ahead and check this voltage and see what we have. And I'll turn the radio on. Okay, radio's on. I have to get the mag light down here so I can see it. We'll go to ground, and we'll go to pin 41. Okay. 0.59 volts. So that's telling me the pin is low and it is in the transmit mode when it comes on. Alright, so it looks like we have a good thing or a bad thing. Or in this case, maybe a repair gone wrong. After checking the voltage on pin 41, I turned the radio around. Just want to check something else and looked, and this is what I see. No flashing of the display. Span button moves up and down. And the encoder is now working. So it looks like somewhere we either have a loose connection, or by testing the voltage on that pin, the CPU may have reset. Now as you can see right here, that little wire terminal here, just a wire jumper, you touch that to ground and that's supposed to reset the CPU. So I'm not showing what's going on. All I know is the radio is now working without doing anything. So now I'm going to have to go through and start looking at solder joints and wire connections, or anything that could have been touching or shorting in the radio, and see if we can figure out what's going on. So I spent an hour checking through this radio and sorting up different connections and looking in this and that. One thing that we do know is that the HTX-100 has a receive transmit switch. When you flip the switch up, it goes into the transmit mode. Now I did put the known meter across the back of it and checked it, and I did not see any problem at the time. But as I was looking through it, I saw something sticking out in the back here. And what I saw was this fine little piece of wire that was behind the switch. Now it's possible that that piece of wire had shorted out the switch, and that was causing it to go into the transmit mode. I'm not sure, I really can't say. I am not able to find anything else wrong with the radio. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put it back together, and we'll do some further testing. So the HTX-100 is all back together, and I've checked it out, and it is working perfectly. As you can see, I'm going to transmit mode, test 1 2, test 1 2. Up here at the IFR. Test 1 2. Check 1 2. It's putting out. Check 1 2. 1 2. Oh, about 150 watt scale. About 20 watts, 25 watts of power. So that looks good. And I'm putting less than a microvolt into it. And we are receiving. So, a failed attempt at repairing a radio. You know, that's how it goes sometimes. You have a problem, you go in, you start looking, and you don't really find anything. And then the radios go back to work. So you look to see if you can find what's causing it. You know, we did find a piece of wire. But you know, it's just hard to say. Like I said, I did go ahead and hit as many solder joints I could up in the area, and checked all around the CPU and around the transmit receive switch, and just didn't seem to find anything. But now the radio works great.
People here on this band, 28395, where I've been for years. And when the band's open, I'm here. If it's not open, I'm someplace else. So that's just the way it works. Keep it simple. All right, my friend, have a good one. Good hearing you. The 899 it's doing a good job. I had one of those for a short period. I bought one. A guy was selling it here in the little town I live in. He had $35. It was brand new. And the wife wouldn't let him put it up. He just didn't want an antenna on the side of the house. So I bought the thing from him. I put it on my tower.
Well, as you can hear, it's actually receiving very well. I listened to a station on 28390. It says 395. I haven't checked the frequency yet, but
78, 79, somewhere around there. I had a Shakespeare.
We'll see what it does.
Fiberglass antenna. Go ahead.
Okay, Dick, sounds very good. Well, I'm going to let you go ahead. Sounds like there's a few back there calling, so I really appreciate the QSO. And like I say, I was just curious to make sure that this radio was sounding okay before I button it up. And I'm going to let it sit here on the bench for a day or two and do a burn in. Maybe try it out every now and then. But got a bunch more to put here on the bench and get to. So I sure appreciate it, and we'll see, can't we catch you on down the log a little later. W5 CBO, I believe, Kilo Charlie 4, United Mike Oscar 73.
Alright, my friend, well, good deal, good work on the old rig there. You got her back to percolating again, and so we'll hope to hear you again soon down the old log. And I'll look you up there on YouTube under that name there. So have a good one. DC4 UMO W5 CBO 73.
73.
With Juliet Tango Charlie Juliet. Alright, I heard a couple, but the one that was really the loudest, I guess, that's kind of northwest of Chicago.
Well, there you go. A little QSO with W5 CBO out of Texas. That's the right good haul here from the east coast of North Carolina. And the radio seems to be working just great. No problems whatsoever. So again, we'll just let it burn in on the bench. See what it does, and then we'll make sure we button it up real good. I do need to go back and correct this frequency error. He said he was transmitting on 28395, and we're on display showing 28394.6, so we're about 0.4 low. So we need to go ahead and take care of that, and that's just going in and adjusting the so that's just to conclude everything on the HTX-100 at the moment. I don't know nothing else to do. The radio's working. I'll get that display tuned in. No need of showing how to do that. That's pretty, you know, textbook adjustment. But the FedEx guy just left, and Mike was sending me some heating elements for the paste desoldering station. Yeah, and I'm out of breath. But you know, it's very small little item. He had picked up some, and they were for the older generation of paste. So I just brought in the heating element, and there it is. That box is about 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, and it weighs in a little over 70 pounds. And that's the heaviest heating element I have ever seen. Like I broke my back getting it in the door. But I'm gonna just go ahead and open this up, and let's see what all Mike has sent in this package. And again, I want to say, guys, when you're packing stuff, you can learn a lot from this, because you can see just how well the inside of this box is packed. We got some holy foam. That must come straight from the Holy Land. I actually like that. And it's got 70 pounds of foam in here. I don't know. I'm not going to bore you with taking everything out. So I'm going to just take what's out, put it here on the bench, and we'll take a look at it. I just want to show you how well stuff should be packed. So here we are. We have our paste desoldering elements with the paperwork. And these are the heating elements to fit the older paste units. And no, that did not weigh 70 pounds. There's actually quite a bit of stuff was packed in that little box. And on top of it, we got another bag of, various connectors. And these we can always use. Yeah, some of it's a repeat from what was in some of the previous items he sent in, but still a lot of good stuff, and I used a lot of these up, so these come in very handy. We also got some got another box here with some 100 mega ohm resistors. And why do we need 100 mega ohm resistors? Well, if you remember when we calibrated the that B&K tube tester, you need 100 meg resistor to calibrate it with, and I had to use a string of various resistors to get there. Well, here it is. Looks like 4 or 6. Looks like 6 100 meg ohm resistors. So these are great. They'll come in handy. And we'll look up on the bench, and you'll see another whole slew of stuff. Let's move the box out of the way. It brought us some dental Q-tips. These come in handy to detail clean everything in the box, LOL, and a little smiley face. We have another. That's the B&K 177 backing 2 voltmeter, and I love these old B&K meters. They are just great working pieces of equipment, and they're really good. Now, about a month ago, I had a guy from the fire department in here to repair his siren system, and it had been repaired so many times that I told him it was finally going to have to go out. And by luck, Mike sent this in, and this is the Federal Signal Corporation PA 300. You know, and it's got all the radio, manual, well, Yelp, high-low, and the gain. Be very careful, this thing is meant to be hooked to a 100-watt speaker. It's loud. And he says he thinks he has the manual for it. I actually have a manual on this somewhere throughout all this stuff. But yeah, even got the microphone. And all good leads. I don't know if the leads have been replaced, but very nice. I might contact this guy and see if he's still in need of one. We also have a Heathkit model IM13 voltmeter, and these are great bench meters. They really are nice meters to have. You can put a bracket on them and hang them right under your bench, and they work fairly well. Not only did he send one, he sent 3 of them. Now these are under a different name, but they all the same meter. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that. My old country bud ain't that good at pronouncing them big $20 words like that, so I'm not going to mess it up. But yeah, these are great. And I'll tell you what I'm thinking about doing. I'm probably going to give 1 or 2 of these away in the future. So we might look at doing that. Also, we have an Instack digital multimeter, and sitting here on top of this is another item that I'm very interested in, and that is a leader. That's the LDC 823A digital counter. I can never have enough digital counters. I have the old Timmer, as you see sitting up there. It ain't that great, but it works. And I have the 1801, which is a great counter, but sometimes it's not as sensitive as stuff that you really need. So yes, that will be a nice addition here on the bench. They also sent in this digital multimeter, so model 50200A, and that's a Energy Concepts. It's a 4-digit multimeter. I've never seen that one before, and this is the first time I've ever seen this type of meter. So we're going to have to play with that and see what we can do with it. This is going to be another great piece of equipment to add to the bench, because I do not have one. And this is the Trio, which you know also made in Kenwood, and it's a this is a AC millivolt meter, and as you can see, it goes from 50 I think it's a microvolts to 0.3 632 volts. Now this is going to be great to have on the bench, because there's a lot of time we need to read some very, very low voltage in RF circuits, and this should do a good job on that. Now I want to turn your attention to the big black case. And you can see it says triplet. So let's open this thing up and take a look. I think it works. Been a while. Well, even if it don't work, it's still a great piece of history here. We have the probes, and we also have the manual. And you see how nicely Mike's got it packed in there. But this is a triplet volt ohm meter, and that's the model 801. And I will say I have only seen these in magazines. I have never seen one up and personal like this. And looking at the face of it, it just looks to be in real great condition. That's a very, very nice looking piece of equipment. I can't wait to get it out and play with it, but in the meantime I got to do a lot of cleaning in here because I've got multiple repairs going on the benches here. So yeah, this will be fun to play with. So I know there's 3 pieces of equipment here that's really going to fit into the shop real good. One of them is one of the heat kit voltmeters. I need another one on the 3rd bench. That frequency counter and that AC millivoltmeter are going to real come in handy. So Mike, thank you very much, Mike. Very nice haul. I know that FedEx man was fussing both of us out due to the weight of that box. I had to go get the hand truck just to move it in. That thing is super heavy, and being a 2-foot box is just almost impossible to pick up by hand. It was really something else. So thank you a lot, Mike. Anyway, that'll conclude the end of this video, and we'll get on. And like I say, sorry about the repair of the HTX-100. You know, if it ain't broke, you can't fix it. And it wanted to be broke, but it went back to work before we can do anything. So anyway, everyone have a good day, and we'll catch you in the next video.